The rain pelted against my modest wool coat as I stood on their doorstep, clutching my worn leather suitcase. Through the fancy leaded glass, I saw Jessica's figure approaching, her designer heels clicking on the marble floor of their foyer. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, opening the door just enough to glare at me, but not enough to let me in. "Hello, Jessica. I've come to see Michael." I tried to keep my voice steady, though the cold rain was seeping through my clothes. "My apartment building is being renovated, and I thought." "You thought what?" "That you could just show up and become our problem." Her perfectly painted lips curled in disgust. "We don't need any burdens here." Behind her, I heard my son's voice. "Who is it, honey?" "Your mother. She spat the word like it was poison. She claims she needs a place to stay." Michael appeared behind his wife, his expensive suit a stark contrast to my dripping appearance. The son I had raised alone after his father died looked at me with a stranger's eyes. "Mom, you can't just show up like this," he sighed. "We have a certain lifestyle to maintain. What would our neighbors think?" I clutched my suitcase tighter, feeling the weight of the USB drive hidden in its lining, the same drive that contained proof of my ownership of Tech Vision Enterprises, their employer and the source of their precious lifestyle. "I'm sorry to impose," I said softly, "but I thought family." "Family?" Jessica laughed sharply. "Family doesn't show up unannounced looking for handouts. We know you've been struggling since Dad died, but that's not our problem." If they only knew that their father's modest insurance policy had been the seed money for what became a tech empire. An empire I built quietly while they thought I was just scraping by. "Let her in out of the rain at least," called a young voice. My 12-year-old grandson Tommy appeared in the hallway, his kind eyes so like his grandfather's. "Tommy, go to your room," Jessica snapped. "This doesn't concern you." "But it's Grandma. And it's raining." "Listen to your mother, sport," Michael said firmly. "Adults are talking." I watched Tommy's reluctant retreat, remembering how he used to love visiting my shabby apartment, fascinated by my old computer where I secretly managed my company. "I don't understand," I said, though I understood perfectly. "When did money become more important than family?" "Oh, please." Jessica rolled her eyes. "Spare us the guilt trip. We work hard at Tech Vision to afford this lifestyle. We can't risk our reputation by housing a—" She looked me up and down. "A charity case." The irony almost made me smile. As CEO and majority owner of Tech Vision, I signed their paychecks. But they only knew me as Elena Chen, the reclusive founder who never appeared in public. "The country club is having a gala next week," Michael added. "We can't have people gossiping about my homeless mother living with us." "I see." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a business card. "Perhaps this might help." "What's this?" Jessica snatched it, then frowned. "Morton and Associates, the biggest law firm in the city." "Why would they?" "Call them," I suggested mildly. "Ask about Elena Chen's estate planning." "Estate planning?" Michael's attention suddenly sharpened. "What estate?" "Oh, just some properties. Investments. A little company called Tech Vision Enterprises." The color drained from Jessica's face. "You're lying. Elena Chen is a billionaire." "She's standing in the rain on your doorstep," I finished quietly. Michael grabbed the card from his wife's trembling hands. "This is impossible. Mom's been struggling. Living in that old apartment." "Managing a tech empire requires focus," I said. "That apartment was my private command center, away from people who only value others by their bank statements." But all these years," Jessica stammered. "All these years, I watched. I watched how you treated people you thought were beneath you. How you raised my grandson to value status over kindness." I straightened my shoulders. "Tomorrow's board meeting should be interesting." "Board meeting?" Michael's voice cracked. "Yes. The one where Elena Chen reveals herself and announces a complete restructuring of executive positions." I smiled slightly. "I hear several high-level positions might be opening up." Jessica grabbed Michael's arm. "She's bluffing." "She has to be." "Call the lawyers," I suggested. "Or better yet, check your email. The board announcement should be arriving right about." 3 phones chimed simultaneously, theirs and one from inside, where Tommy was supposedly in his room. "Oh my God," Jessica whispered, staring at her screen. "Grandma?" Tommy called from the stairs. "Is it true? You're really Elena Chen?" Tommy, I told you to stay in your room. Jessica snapped automatically, then seemed to remember the situation. Yes, Tommy, it's true, I answered. Though I'd appreciate it if you kept it quiet until tomorrow's announcement. Is that why you always let me play with your old computers? He asked excitedly. Were you actually running the company? I nodded, watching my son and daughter-in-law process their new reality. Mom, Michael finally managed. We need time to think, I suggested. Of course, I'll get a hotel room. Though I expect to see you both at tomorrow's board meeting, 9 a.m. sharp. Wait, Jessica's hand shot out as I turned to leave. You can't go to a hotel. Your family, we insist you stay. I looked at her perfectly manicured hand, then at her desperate face. Now that you know I'm Elena Chen, I'm family. I'll get the guest room ready, she offered quickly. No me, I said. I meant what I said about the hotel. Tomorrow's meeting will be early and I have some calls to make about restructuring the company and the family. As I turned to leave, Tommy called out, Can I come visit you, Grandma? Like I used to. Of course, sweetheart, we have a lot of coding to catch up on. I heard Jessica's sharp intake of breath, finally realizing why her son's programming skills had advanced so rapidly under his struggling grandmother's tutelage. Sometimes I thought as I walked to my waiting car, the best lesson in family values comes with a board meeting agenda. The next morning, I arrived at TechVision's headquarters wearing my usual Elena Chen attire, a perfectly tailored charcoal suit that cost more than Jessica's monthly shopping budget. The security guard who had always ignored my cleaning lady disguise now snapped to attention. Ms. Chen, we weren't expecting. We didn't know. That's rather the point of being incognito, isn't it, George? I smiled, using his name openly for the first time. How's your daughter's coding class going? His jaw dropped. You were the one who arranged her scholarship. Someone once told me talent shouldn't be wasted because of financial circumstances. I winked, stepping into the executive elevator I had secretly owned but never used. The boardroom was already filling up when I arrived. Michael and Jessica sat nervously near the middle, both looking like they hadn't slept. Their usual seats at the head of the table were conspicuously empty. Ladies and gentlemen, my longtime assistant Sarah announced, Please welcome Elena Chen. The room erupted in shocked whispers as I walked in. Sarah, the only person who had known my identity, smirked at Michael and Jessica's pale faces. But that's the woman who brings our coffee during late meetings, one board member stammered. Amazing how invisible people become when you think they're beneath you, I replied, taking my seat at the head of the table. Shall we begin? Mom, Michael started, about last night. We'll discuss family matters later. I cut him off. This is business. I nodded to Sarah, who distributed folders to everyone. Let's talk about the company's direction and its values. Jessica frantically flipped through the documents. These reorganization plans. You're demoting us. I prefer to call it reassignment based on merit, I said calmly. You'll both be reporting to Tommy's coding teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez. You know, the one you said wasn't our kind of people at last month's school fundraiser. The blood drained from Jessica's face. You heard that? I hear everything. Like how you told the janitorial staff they were lucky to clean executive offices. One of them has a PhD in computer science, by the way. He's your new department head. Michael leaned forward. Mom, please. We can explain. Explain why you turned my grandson into a status-obsessed mini Jessica. Or why you told everyone I was a penniless burden while living in a house I secretly own. The board members shifted uncomfortably. Ms. Chen, one ventured, while this is fascinating, shouldn't we discuss the quarterly projections? Oh, but this is relevant, I smiled. Because TechVision's new direction includes a complete overhaul of our corporate culture, starting with how we treat people regardless of their apparent status. I pulled up a presentation on the screen. Our janitors will receive full education benefits. Our cafeteria workers will get profit sharing. And our executives, I looked pointedly at Michael and Jessica, will spend 1 week each quarter working entry-level positions. That's ridiculous, Jessica burst out, then quickly covered her mouth. Is it? Tell me, when was the last time either of you actually talked to the people who make this company run? Not ordered them around, actually listened. The silence was deafening. Your new positions start today, I continued. Mrs. Rodriguez is expecting you at 9:30. I suggest you don't keep her waiting. She's not as patient as I was with tardiness. But the country club gala, Jessica whispered. Our social standing will now depend on your actual work, not your titles. I turned to the board. Any objections? They shook their heads quickly. Several were smiling, having been on the receiving end of my son and daughter-in-law's condescension. Excellent. Now about those quarterly projections. The meeting proceeded smoothly, though Michael and Jessica seemed to shrink with each passing minute. When it ended, they lingered behind. Why didn't you tell us? Michael asked quietly. Would it have changed how you treated people? Made you value family over status? I gathered my papers. Or would you have just tried to exploit my position like you did your own? We never, Jessica began. Never what? Never mocked people you thought were beneath you? Never taught Tommy that worth is measured by bank accounts? I met their eyes. Never turned away your mother in the rain. They had the grace to look ashamed. Your new positions start in 20 minutes, I reminded them. Mrs. Rodriguez doesn't like excuses any more than she likes social climbing. As they turned to leave, Michael paused. The house, are you going to evict you? No, but the staff you've been mistreating now report directly to me, and Tommy's trust fund will be managed differently, with an emphasis on character building, not status buying. Jessica clutched her designer bag. And us? You'll earn what you deserve, just like everyone else. I smiled slightly. Welcome to the real world. They left quietly, their expensive shoes clicking on the floor they'd never had to mop. Sarah brought in my next appointment schedule. Tommy's school called. He's telling everyone his grandmother is a secret boss. Well, I chuckled. He always was better at seeing people than his parents. Speaking of seeing people, she grinned. George's daughter just got accepted into the advanced coding program. Want me to send flowers from the mysterious benefactor? I thought about it. No, send them from me, his grandmother who brings coffee to late meetings. Some lessons are best taught through example. After all, amused watching Michael and Jessica make their way to their new department, sometimes the greatest wealth isn't in what you own, but in who you choose to be when no one knows what you own. The transformation of both Tech Vision and my family over the next 6 months surprised everyone, especially those who had witnessed their previous reign of status-seeking behavior. Initially, Jessica retreated to her social circle, emerging only to complain about unfair treatment at work. But when her country club friends started praising Tech Vision's innovative corporate culture, she faced an unfamiliar sensation, irrelevance in her own social sphere. The turning point came from, of all things, a coding error. I need help, she called one evening, her voice missing its usual superiority. Mrs. Rodriguez says my project has fundamental flaws, and Tommy says he could fix it. I could have let her fail. Part of me wanted to. Instead, I said, bring him to my office tomorrow. Let's see what he can teach you. The Jessica who arrived at 7 a.m. was barely recognizable. Her designer clothes were replaced with practical business wear, her perfect hair pulled back sensibly, and her eyes held something I'd never seen before: humility. Mrs. Rodriguez, someone Jessica would once have dismissed as the help, watched as Tommy walked his mother through basic coding principles. You have to build from the ground up, he explained, fingers flying over the keyboard. Like Grandma taught me, every line of code matters, just like every person matters. The irony of his words wasn't lost on anyone. What followed was what the staff called the Great Leveling. The woman who once wouldn't let common people near her son now spent weekends at coding camps, where Tommy helped teach underprivileged kids. Mom's actually pretty good with the younger students, Tommy told me proudly. She didn't even flinch when they spilled juice on her laptop. Michael, showing more growth than I'd expected, started participating in the entry-level rotation program enthusiastically. He worked alongside maintenance staff, learning about their lives and hidden talents. One day, I overheard him tell Jessica, "Why didn't we ever see them as people before, Jess?" Jessica set down her coding manual, hands trembling. "Because we were too busy looking down to see what was right in front of us," she admitted softly. "We thought status meant value. Like how we treated Grandma." "Yes," she whispered. "Your mother built an empire while serving coffee, and we were too blind to see past our own reflections." The real breakthrough came during our first company-wide innovation fair. A janitor presented a brilliant network security solution. The old Jessica would have ignored him. The new Jessica spent hours helping him prepare his pitch to investors. "This is real leadership," she said afterward. "Not ordering people around, but lifting them up." Later that evening, as we closed the office, Jessica lingered by my desk. "I've been thinking," she said quietly, "about Tommy's future." "Oh, yes, I want him to earn his way, like you did. No more trust fund spoiling." I studied her face, searching for any trace of her old status-seeking self. I found none. "That's a wise decision," I said carefully, "but it would mean giving up a lot of social standing." "Real standing comes from who you are, not what you own," she replied, watching Tommy help a cleaning crew member with their computer. "I just wish I'd learned that sooner." Michael, who had been pretending not to listen, joined us. For the first time ever, he looked at me with genuine understanding. "Will you help us?" Jessica asked. "To raise him right this time?" "Better," I smiled. "We'll all do it together, and learn plenty of lessons along the way." I looked at them both uncertainly. If you're ready for that." They nodded, watching years of superficial values dissolve like temporary code. As we left that night, Tommy pointed to a new motivational poster on the wall, featuring a quote from the mysterious Elena Chen. "Look, Grandma, sometimes the best leaders are the ones nobody sees coming." Yes, I agreed, watching Michael hold the door open for the evening cleaning staff. And sometimes the best people are the ones who learn to see others clearly. The office lights dimmed behind us, but the glow of transformation lit our way home. In the end, it wasn't about wealth, or revenge, or even corporate power. It was about learning that true value isn't in the title on your door, it's in how you treat the person who cleans it. As Tommy often says now, the best code isn't just about what you build, it's about who you help build it with. And sometimes the greatest legacy isn't the empire you create, but the values you instill in the next generation.